right. Well, welcome to our next series of video conversations. We're going to continue talking about our premier live and hybrid events service that we offer. And we're going to look at the 6 different service and support options that we have within that. So this time we're going to talk about planning. My name's Ken Kahn. I am the Director of Partnerships and Collaboration here at I2I Technologies.
And I'm Roxanne, Director of Marketing and Learning with I2I Technologies. So as Ken said, in this series, we're going to kick it off with planning. So we all know that planning a virtual or hybrid event can be overwhelming. So Ken, today, we're going to be sharing our question, which is, what is your favorite part in developing the plan to help an event run smoothly?
Well, I kind of have a combo answer to that, but it's related. So my favorite part is listening, because I like to listen to what's being talked about. I like to hear what people have to say about the events that they want to do, listening for their goals and their expectations. So listening to what people have to say. Sometimes I'll ask questions to get them to talk a little bit more so I can listen closely. And then I like to take all that information and synthesize it and organize it. So that's my favorite part of developing a plan, is listening and then synthesizing and organizing the information.
All right, so yours is listening and synthesizing. So those are 2 big parts that really fit in with what my answer is. What I love is to take all of that and put it into action, because all the little details, when they're just, on a document, that's one thing. But when we look at how do we transition that into information for who needs to know what, when, and how do we communicate that to them, and all those moving pieces, that's the part that really excites me, of like being able to make this experience the best it can be for the presenters, the attendees, for everyone that comes in contact with it.
Yeah, another thing that I like too is the collaboration that comes through the planning process. Like, I'm not a fan of putting something together where everybody agrees about everything. I like some disagreement, because I think better ideas and better things come through looking at other people's perspectives and seeing how they fit together with the intentions and the goals and the objectives. So for me, a secondary part of the planning process would be the collaborative part of it. Sometimes that's better than others. Like, sometimes you just get a group that just kind of jives together very well. Sometimes collaboration can be pretty difficult, because there's so much compromise involved in it, because everybody's kind of coming at such a different angle. Like, you're constantly having to get back to a place of like, okay, here are the things we all agree on, and how can we build from that. But in those cases where kind of everybody's realizing we're working towards the same thing, everybody's jiving together, everybody's bringing different things to the table, there's no real competition or defensiveness going on. It's like, I think the collaboration part of planning can really, take something to a whole nother level than it would if you completely got your way and did everything the way you wanted to do it.
I would agree on that. I think it is, it's always interesting that when you, like for me on the working on creatives, and we'll get into that more later, sometimes I will only see it the way I see it in my mind, and so I've worked on it. I'm like, I'm just not seeing any other way. And then to bring it into that collaborative conversation, it can help me get unstuck and moves us forward so much more quickly than if we just had everyone does their tasks and we didn't have that check-in or time to ask the questions.
Yeah, I think sometimes collaboration can be mislabeled when like you got a bunch of people working on one project, right? But if everything's just divided up, like I do this, you do this, she does this, he does that, it's like that's not necessarily a collaboration. That's just everybody working on different pieces of the projects. Where a true collaboration is we're bringing something in together and we're all talking about like, well, here's what I think about that. Ooh, what if we did this or what if we do that? Um, like a good one that comes to mind from a recent virtual conference we worked on. It had a global theme. And during just one of the planning meetings, somehow it came up like, oh, maybe we should have like a map image that shows where all the different people are coming from to come to this virtual conference to kind of really show the global nature of it. So that wasn't something that was like thought of beforehand. That just it kind of came out of just talking about something. Like I can't even remember what was being specifically talked about, where it's like, hey, what if we did this? And like and then it, that little idea kind of grew, and leading up into the actual event was used in all kinds of different ways to really promote that global nature of that particular event. Yeah, my background's in teaching, and that was my favorite part of teaching was always planning the lessons. Being up there doing the lessons, not so much. I don't like to be out in the front. I mean, I can do it, and I obviously did it. I think I did it pretty well too, but yeah, not my, yeah, I really like the planning because I like to think about things and, look at how things connect together and, talk about how we should put it together. But then the actual execution is like, oh yeah, somebody else can do that. I'm cool with somebody else taking that on. I don't need to do it.
I literally just had so many thoughts in my mind. And the one that came 4 or 5 times just while you were talking was, I think I just realized why we make such a great team. Because planning is like, if I'm honest, it's not my favorite part of this. And you heard in my answer was mine is the taking the plan and putting it into action. Can't believe I just figured this out, because I love when it gets going, when you're like, okay, here we are. Let's that launch, the kickoff of the event, when you're like, okay, is it all going to work? We've put all of it together. And I love that part. So I feel like I should thank you for this plan that you bring. So, but that's really when I put together, we worked on the communication plan this year. And I think that's why I think I was better suited for that, because it was so task oriented. It was so functional. It was the plan for who needs what, when, and how. And I was thinking about this on my walk. I was like, for me, what's exciting is to be able to take that event and to let people come to it with whatever their needs or expectations are. And they're very different, but so that each one of them can have a successful event. And, sometimes we'll talk about like, oh, well, when we get kind of geeky, we're talking like inside baseball, which made me think about if you're going to a baseball game. So basically you need to know how to get your ticket. You need to know how to, like when I go to a softball game, I need to get my drink, I need to get my popcorn. I need to, maximize the shade of where my seat's going to be so I can enjoy the game. Other people are going to go with, watching the stats. They've got their favorite, a whole different experience. And I think that's what I love about being able to take that plan and put it into action in a very concrete way, so that if you're just coming, you're like, I'm just going to attend. I don't need to interact with a bunch of people. I just want to come and get my knowledge, versus, oh, I want to attend and I want to interact virtually with everyone and do social media. How do you do that? So I was like, yeah, I love how you explain that. But yeah, I like the plan of doing things.
All right. Well, thank you for the good conversation. We got at least 5 more for sure. We got 5 more. We might get crazy, and maybe there's some where we're like, oh, this needs to be a double conversation because there's just so many. You never know. I'm not gonna pigeonhole us into a certain format here, but yeah, we got at least 5 more coming up on the different services and support options of the Premier live and hybrid event service. So we will see you next time.